Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mitchell here, Mitchell Roulane for the Wrestling Diaries. I am, I keep forgetting that tagline my friend from Colorado said to me. She said I'm the average Joe Rogan, or the Joe Rogan for the average Joe. There's probably somebody watching that like, what? No, he's not even close. Probably. Anyways, this is the Wrestling Diaries. First of all, if you have not yet, like, share, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, follow us on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Podcast. We're on there. We could use the support. This is people in local community also, so you're also supporting people in their local environment, which is very good, right? Community is very important. Today, I have a really, and real quick too, I'm going to do a plug-in. anchorfm.com. If you want to start your own podcast, it's like one of the most awesome, easiest way to do that. You can also get paid for doing sponsorships. It's super effortless. It's what we do. It's super awesome. Shout out to Anchor, anchorfm.com. You can download the app on your phone also, or do it from your computer at home. Super cool. Anyway, to my guest, Miss Margaret Walter Wilson. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I can call you Margot for short, right?
Yeah, Margot.
Or is that for short? I don't know if that's for short. Whatever it is.
It is. We'll just call it.
So you are the lead singer of is it like a jazz-esque band, I guess?
We are jazz, funk, groove, really whatever we want to do. Pretty much, as I told the band when we put it together, it's like, it ain't Vegas. We won't be making a fortune. We might as well just make good music and have fun. And I told them, and if I can say it this way, each of them, I wanted their stupid happy list.
Nice.
And they were like, no, you're supposed to tell us what to play. And I said, okay, I want you to play what makes you stupid happy.
That's really awesome. You're basically like an elegant crossover band. There's all these like cool little crisscrosses in there and stuff like that. That's really awesome. How long have you been doing that, Margaret?
I'm actually new. I'm only out of the shower 7 years. The band will be
out of the shower. Is that some kind of music terminology? I've never heard that before.
I'm literally
just you?
Came out of the shower, started singing,
Okay.
and now 7 years later, I have a miraculous conglomeration of talented musicians who, for some unforeseen and unknown reason, actually let me have a microphone and play with them. And I feel eternally grateful to
Well, you're
them.
really good, though. That's why they gave you a microphone.
Well, I'm learning.
Hey, you going to sing a song for us today?
Sure.
At the end, you could do a little plug into your music also. Do a little song.
I'll try. It won't sound as good without the band behind me.
I mean, I can come in and do some harmony. No, I'm not. I'm not. Totally not going to do that.
Lynette, where are you when I need you?
Shout out to mutual friend Lynette.
Yes, if you haven't heard her, you need to check her out. Rose-colored glasses and cashback.
Absolutely.
She's awesome.
She's going to be on the show at some point, too. I had lunch with her like the other day, and she was very, very interested on being on the show. And I feel like me and her, there's probably going to be laughter for like 35% of the whole podcast.
Oh, she's hilarious.
So silly, and she laughs a lot, and very infectious personality, that one.
Indeed. And I love the blue streaks in her platinum hair. It's
right.
So sexy.
Yes.
But
so you also, you do real estate. Tell us about that. What's that all about?
yes, my husband and I own Trading Earth Real Estate, and he manages about 90 properties for rent. We also help people find investment property so that they can purchase property. We can help with the renovation of property and put renters into it and manage it. We also help people buy homes. We help people sell homes. I stage houses, and we also do flip properties, which I am knee deep in right now. So it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of psychology to helping someone find a home and getting into their feet and understanding how they're going to exist in the property, daily. It's kind of like when you look at a house and go, oh, I really love it, but it's up on a hill. Well, do you have a child that's riding a bike? It doesn't matter if it's on a cul-de-sac if the driveway is 60-degree angle. So there are different things that you have to keep, on the tip of your tongue and in your mind when you're helping people find the perfect place for them. And it's such a huge expenditure, and they're under so much stress that our job as real estate agents is really to insulate them from all the madness that ensues when you're, selling or buying your house. And it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I like helping people.
You said that you help people to do and buy investment homes for themselves to do their own investments. It's funny because I actually have been looking into getting into that at some point. I don't know if I'm ready for it yet, but me and my fiance have been talking about doing that. We follow Robert Kiyosaki. Do you know who that is? Wrote
Yeah.
the Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And he's a big real estate guy, mogul. Is that the correct term for that?
Property is the one thing that you can definitely make money on. And Ravenel, my husband, is excellent at finding really good deals and helping you, figure out what you need to do, what you need to put into it to make it where it needs to be as far as a habitable property. But if you start building up, several rental properties, before you know it, you can really end up with quite a healthy income. You can buy one property, renovate it, either sell it outright, use the properties to buy the profits from that to buy a couple of more houses, or use that property as a renovated property as a rental and utilize the equity in it to purchase another property, or use it as for a mortgage for another property because you have that equity.
Yeah. So, now, can you say all that again, but in English? I'm kidding.
You can buy a house and it will make you money.
Okay. Oh! Now I get it. You know what's something that's interesting about you? I've known a lot of real estate agents, and you are the most eclectic, artsy-looking real estate agent lady I've ever met.
Well, I did not start my life off as a real estate woman.
Where's your pantsuit at?
Never.
I don't know. It's hard for me to take ladies serious in pantsuits. I don't know. If somebody watches, they would probably get pissed off at this comment, but that's just me.
My mom was a pantsuit lady, and
so was my mom.
She could
doesn't
rock
sell real
it.
estate, though.
She could rock it. Well, she was head of the art department at the University of North Alabama in the Shoals. So yeah, So
you grew up as an art kid, right?
I grew up as a child and grandchild of academia. My grandmother was head of the art department at the University of North Alabama. Hilda Hall and Harris Mitchell. She was quite an astonishing lady. And then my mother finally returned to Florence, and she worked her way up and became head of the art department as well, Dr. Elizabeth Walter. And she made a difference in a lot of different people's lives. She's a really phenomenal woman. Unfortunately, we lost her last year.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. That is something to wrestle with, is the loss of a parent, for sure.
I can imagine that being really tough. I don't even know how I would wrap my head around that personally. It's tough stuff. She made a really awesome daughter, though.
Well, thank you. You should meet my brother. He's kick-ass.
Is he? Yeah, I've never met him. I'd love to meet him. Yeah.
Oh, he's a hoot. He'll keep you laughing.
We'll set up a play date. Oh. Can we do that? Let's set up a play date.
Oh, he would love that.
An adult play date.
Indeed.
You do so much stuff. So real estate, you do the music. There's these paintings right here are hers, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us about this. What's this all about? This is, I didn't even, my God, what is this? Jeez.
Well, here, I'll have to remove this so that you can get an idea. This actually is how I re-met my husband. I was part of an exhibition called the Superstitions Exhibition in Florence, Alabama.
Okay.
And I was one of 13 artists that were asked to participate in the exhibition. And so she is the superstition of red on the head, fire down below.
Oh.
So in her card here, it says, it's etched in the paint, I burn for you, you I burn. I burn for you, you I burn. And I had cleavage on her, but it was distracting, so we just smoked it all out.
I see.
And I love her look. It's just kind of I know what you want.
Yeah, it's so elegant and sexy, definitely.
Well, thank you. And so a friend of ours named Luke showed up, and I hadn't seen Luke in 7 years. And while we were there, Ravenel calls from an Iggy Pop concert.
He likes Iggy Pop?
Oh, yeah.
Matt, we got to invite this guy for a sleepover.
And so
we love Iggy Pop.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have one of his concert posters in our foyer that's an original print from the artwork from that tour, because we say Iggy Pop got us together. Because Ravenel calls up Luke and goes, listen to what you're missing, motherfucker, and holds up the phone so he can hear Iggy. And Luke laughs it off and goes, ah, ha, ha, Ravenel. And I was like, wow, Ravenel? I haven't spoken to him ages. And he goes, well, here's his number. Speak to him. And we've been talking ever since. So we've been married for 17 years.
I never would have assumed that Ravenel was into punk rock. I never, ever, ever would have guessed that. I mean, he's a really cool guy. I don't know. I just never.
Urban camouflage, my dear.
Urban camouflage. Yeah, I need some of that. So who is she though? Is this like
she is made up?
You just made this lady up. So you weren't like doing a sketch from some woman.
No.
That is amazing that you just made up this, because this looks like a real like lady who was just like posing for you, and you painted her and you're like, hey, can I use you for this piece?
Oh, thank you.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
Now, this is a real guy.
Okay.
This was from graduate school, and it's what happens when you have several paintings to go and you forgot that you had an extra one that you needed to do. And so this was some sleazebag that was dating a friend of mine. So I call it "Oh, you devil," and he was just
got
a
that
reproachable
little smirk right here with the teeth showing. I see what you mean.
Yeah, no, and that's a photograph he liked of himself. So that kind of tells you something.
I mean, yeah, this is an awesome painting too. This is amazing. You are such an amazing and yet weird creature, Margot.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also write books. We have some books down here I'm going to pull up. You come from a family of writers, you were telling me earlier?
Yes. I've only written one book yet. I have a novel waiting on me that I've got to work on, but I've been lazy.
And I am an avid reader. I love reading. So the fact that you come from a family of writers and readers and all that is just, I feel like we should be BFFs. If we aren't already, we should definitely etch this into stone somehow.
Absolutely.
So this is the Black Irish of
the
Erie, descended from Spanish pirates.
Yes.
Elizabeth Walter.
And this is my mother's book on her heritage of the Black Irish, which is a very, very interesting story if you are of Black Irish heritage or you just are interested in Ireland. There was a couple of armadas that crashed on the coast of Ireland, and their descendants, of course, were discriminated against and things of that nature, but they were put to work by pirates because they couldn't find any other employ. But it's a really interesting line, and it includes a lot of my cousins and aunts and everything. It's really fun. It's a good read.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, isn't Dan East Black Irish? Isn't it? Yeah, a mutual friend of ours. He's a Black Irish descent. So
oh, he'll love it.
He'd probably love this book, I guess. I mean,
I think I left a copy at Brennan's, so if you would like to read it, I think there's one there.
Nice. Okay.
And then this next one is my Uncle Buck, Malcolm Marsh, and it is about the Battle of the Bulge. He was a remarkable soldier, and he's a phenomenal guy. I just can't say enough good about Uncle Buck. He and his entire family, my Aunt Wanda, my cousins, Malcolm and Susan and Nancy and their children who are remarkable. Everybody in the family is just the bomb.
Mm-hmm. Reflections of a World War II infantryman is this book she's just describing.
Yeah, and it's spectacular.
All right. Next up, we have Reef Making, Transforming Oceans, One Artificial Reef at a Time. David Walter.
My uncle David Walter. This is just out. This is brand new, fresh off the presses.
Okay.
If you are interested in the Gulf and its well-being, he is instrumental in making it a healthier place.
I have a friend, her name is Bethany. She's actually about to start doing this kind of stuff. So Bethany, if you're watching this, you need to check this book out then.
Oh, I can hook her up.
Yeah, or I can get you in touch with Margot and you can.
Yeah, because Uncle David is lovely. His wife Pamela is spectacular. I just adore them both and the entire family.
Next up, the Naval Battle of Mobile Bay, August 5th, 1864.
That's my dad, Father Francis Walter. I'm a priest's kid.
Okay. Wow. God, you're so interesting. Like, what is going on here? You're like the most interesting person ever.
No, I just have really cool family members.
Yeah, I wish I could say that. Whoa, they're getting mad now.
Oh no!
Unfriend me on Facebook. Ooh, I'm kidding. All those jerks know I love them to death. Anyway.
Okay.
Alabama Unsolved Mysteries. And this is your name. Margaret Walter Wilson.
Yes. This is my first book. And my dear friend Amber Henderson came to me and needed an author. And so It's a contract book, which means that a lot of the subject matter was requested. However, I was able to put some rather interesting research into it, such as the U-boats that came up into the Gulf during the Second World War. And I actually got to hear original reel-to-reel recordings of eyewitness testimony.
Do you have these?
No, I just have a CD of it somewhere. But yeah, it was fascinating to do the research because my background's in art history, which is just research and history and art. And so it was really an interesting project to be part of, and my first attempt to do something other than just academic writing. Bear with me, there's some cheese in it. A lot of them end with, and that's why it remains unsolved. So
this is awesome here. So you wrote all of this stuff, even the stuff on the back here? Alabama Unsolved Mysteries?
I don't know if I wrote the cover.
I'm going to read it real quick. It's been said, so I'm reading this because this is also your book, and we're going to find out a little bit more based off of what you said and what I'm about to read here. It's been said that everyone loves a good mystery. That's especially true when you find them in unexpected places. That's the best part of the true stories presented in Alabama Unsolved Mysteries. I have the Unsolved Mysteries theme playing in my head right now. They happened in the places you know and live. You may even be surprised to find out that unanswered questions remain about some incident that happened in your own hometown. Tales of the unsolved and unexplained presented in this collection include some well-known events and some that are lesser known. The mysterious disappearance of Carrie Lawson, the life and death of the thriving antebellum metropolis of how do you say this?
Cahaba. Old Cahaba.
Okay.
That was the original site for the state capitol.
Okay. Numerous sightings of Alabama's Bigfoot.
I know, right?
The strange death of Birmingham's eccentric Robert Allen Puckett. The story of the curious Alabama Stone. Whether these stories are already familiar to you and you've wondered whatever happened to them, or there's something you're hearing for the first time, they are bound to stir your interest in the people and places around you. This is so amazing. I told you earlier, I'm trying to work on a book, so I got to get with you. I got to figure this out, man. I feel like you'll probably be like, man, this is crap. This can't be published, Mitchell.
Oh, no. This cat's interesting. Eugene Walter. He's actually a cousin, but he referred to us as his niece and nephew, my brother and I. Eugene left Alabama in the 50s. He was friends with quite a few eccentrics in town and ended up working with Fellini. He was the nun in 8½. He wrote the song Milking the Moon. He helped start the Paris Review in the 1950s. He's an exquisite human being. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But he also ended up being a cuisine writer down in Mobile. And they've got a bar called Eugene's Monkey Bar down there that I've yet to go to, but that is named after him. They buried him in the old cemetery where Mardi Gras starts so that people dance on his grave every Mardi Gras, and I can't imagine him being any happier.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He was a strange cat. He had 13 cats that he had living with him in this bungalow. And he had a room that was his library that he kept all his reference materials and everything in it. It had 12-foot ceilings, and the shelves went all the way up, and then he had 2 freestanding shelves that were almost that tall in the middle of it. And the cats weren't allowed in the Lucille room, which is what he called his library, and they'd line up outside and wait for him because he'd go, "Oh, I have this book. You need to see this." And he would disappear and come back, and he would make these incredible meals on this huge table, and the cats would be on the table, and they'd walk around your wine glass and around all the serving dishes, and they wouldn't touch a thing. They'd just sit there patiently and wait for you to pet them. My mother would have died, but it was spectacular. My mother would
eat it up. She'd be like, "Oh, all these cats are so cute." Love you, man. That's so cool. So where if somebody's watching this right now and they want to read some of these books here that we just showed, where can they get them at?
I'm not sure about
text you.
The Reef. I don't know where David's comes from. David, if you're, you hear this, please put it in the comments.
Do it,
where
David.
to get your book.
Right
the rest
now,
of them,
David.
I think, might be available via Amazon, but
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Is that where I can get your book? I'm just going to take.
Yes,
I'm just taking your book. I mean,
that
it's
actually
mine now.
can go from Amazon. I don't think it's very expensive anymore, but it did make it through 2 presses, which was kind of,
What does
it's
that
a good
mean?
thing.
2 presses. What is that?
It means they sold out and had to reprint it.
Oh, Alabama bestseller here. I don't even know if that's a thing.
But it was just fun. It was a fun exercise. And so
I'm going to read it. I'm excited to read. I don't know if I'm going to read all of those books. I'm definitely reading your book, though. Absolutely, without a doubt.
It's just funny. It's just funny. It's just a fun
I love Unsolved Mysteries. I love conspiracy theories. I love hauntings. I love Bigfoot. You know,
I grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah, my sister, she used to live in a house with a murder-suicide happened. Oh, wow. And the funny thing about that is the real estate agent that sold the house did not tell them because that
has to be disclosed.
Yeah.
That's called a stigma.
Well, let me ask about, has there been a law that changed at some point about that, though, or has it always been that way? Because he absolutely did not, because this happened 8 months before my sister and my ex-brother-in-law moved into this home. So... And he
should have told them.
I think it was the early to mid 90s when this happened. So I don't know.
I don't know. I've only been in real estate since 2006.
Okay. I feel like somebody told me, and I don't quote me on it. I don't know, but I feel like somebody told me that they changed a law about it or made some kind of thing about to where it has to be disclosed legally.
And
I think this might have been possibly before that because he absolutely did not do it. And, they never, tried to take legal action. So I can't imagine. But yeah, it was, and they found out the hard way, if you know what I mean. They found out the hard way. It was a bunch of weird things going on. My mom too. She was in the military during the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. So she's told me some ghastly stories about people being blown up and like crawling their guts and all this stuff hanging out. So she knows what death and stuff smells like. If that sounds weird,
yes,
I don't mean
I know what that smells like.
She and I get it too. It's like this weird, like the smell of like meat. Somebody's probably like, "Oh, this grosses me out right now."
But it's sweet.
And so she smelled that in my sister's house, and she was like, Nancy, she's like, it smells like meat in here, like. Did somebody die in here? And they're like, no, Mom, nobody said anything about that and that. You're just being paranoid and weird. You can't ever just accept me for who I am.
Now, don't get in trouble now.
I'm going to get in super trouble. I love it. Bring it on, sisters and Mom. Just come on. Well, one sister doesn't have time to watch me do my stupid stuff on the internet, so she's not going to see this. Somebody will probably tell her, though, if like one of my nephews watch this. They're like, oh, Mom, he was talking mad shit. I'm not talking mad shit. I love you. And, I'll still let you come to my lake house when I'm, a billionaire. Anyway, so my mom was telling her this, and she was like, well, I don't know, we'll find. And then just a bunch of weird stuff happened. Like my sister was having weird dreams, and they would close the door. Like her and her husband would close the door to their bedroom, and then it would be open every morning. Nobody lived with them. They had one cat. The cat's not going to do it because they closed the door and it has a handle on it. And the cat was in the bedroom with them anyway. And it would be open. And so then they started questioning, like, oh, well, you forgot to close the door. You didn't close it. I closed it. And so they made it a point to be like, okay, we're going to bed. The door's closed and you see me closing it. It's closed. Mm-hmm. And they woke up and it was open. And so weird stuff like that. They heard weird noises. The first day they went in there, like they were people were helping them move in. And a family friend of theirs, he went in there to take a dump. And he was in there using the bathroom. And he finished up. And he's trying to open the door. He couldn't open the door. He thought they were playing a prank on him. He thought they were like on the outside. Like there's a lock on the outside of the door, and they locked it to keep him in there, or they were all like pressed against the door, and they were outside, like still unloading the truck when this is going on. He's like opening the door. He's like banging on the door and like cussing them and stuff, and nobody's saying anything. And he's like, "What?" And then he finally crawled out the window. When he crawled out the window, they were all standing out there, and they're like, "What are you doing? Did you just crawl out the window, you dummy? Why would you do that?" He's like, "You ass like locked me in the bathroom. Why would you do that?" And they were like, "We've all been outside the whole time. We were wondering where you were." And he was like, and so they all went in to check the thing. There's no lock on the outdoor. They opened it. It opened fine. He's like, and they thought he was crazy. They're like, "Oh, he's he's high or something. And so that happened. A light bulb just randomly exploded like the first day they were moving in. Just some weird stuff. No, some of it not completely out of the realm of possibility with explanation, like the light bulb exploding. I mean, there's so many different scientific ways you could probably explain that, I'm sure. But
do they still have to deal with it, or has it gotten better?
Well, I mean, they're not there anymore.
Well,
so
then it's gotten better.
To summarize the story, so all this craziness was going on. And, my mom, she said she had a bad feeling. Plus, the smell of the house smelled like fresh death, like fresh meat. My mom's been in war, so she knows what's up. She knows what time it is with that stuff. And so they were like, well, we don't have anybody ask. And this is almost like from a horror movie, right? There's the next door neighbor. She's like this very old, frail lady sitting out on her porch in a rocking chair.
Neighbors are the best.
She's rocking back and forth,
yeah.
and she's out there every day at dusk in a rocking chair, knitting a serape or something. I don't know, probably not. But and then they went up talking to her. Hey, we're your new neighbors. She goes, oh my goodness, hey, nice to meet you. And she introduced. It was my mom and my sister, maybe my other sister too. I'm not really certain the full story. But they were like, well, yeah, we just moved in. She's like, oh. And they were like, yeah, well, we actually wanted to ask you about, do you know who the people were that lived in the house before? Because we're just curious, because we haven't really heard much about it. And that, the agent, he told us that there was a family that lived here, but they're not, he just said they weren't here anymore. He didn't really. And then the old lady goes, oh, she's like, he didn't tell you. And she was like, I knew these people. This gentleman was, he's retired from the military or maybe from the police force. It was something like that. And then he had a very beautiful wife. They had like the perfect like setup. His family, husband, wife, and then these two beautiful children, boy and a girl. They were really good Catholic people, and they were real sweet. He'd cut that lady's grass sometimes. And she said, like, all she knew was that it was a weekend that the kids were at the grandparents' house, and he came home from work, and there was a loud noise and another loud noise, and then a bunch of cop cars and a bunch of stuff. And all she said, what happened was he had a sawed-off shotgun.
Oh no!
Yeah, and he shot his wife in the head, and then he put it in his mouth and blew his head off, and that's what happened. And they said, oh my gosh. And then they were like, oh, the real estate agent never told you that? And they're like, no. And then she goes, well, how long ago was that? She's like, honey, that wasn't even a year ago. That was maybe 7-8 months ago. And then it was literally this like Twilight Zone thing. And so they went back in there, and they, my ex-brother-in-law cut up the carpet. He pulled it up, and there's still like fresh-ish blood underneath. They just laid the carpet over the blood. They just laid it over. Yeah. And so at this point, my mom and then his father, they were trying to get them to move out and stuff, but they're like, no, we paid this. And then they're like, oh, that's why we got such a good deal on this house, And
yeah.
So they stayed, and they actually moved a bunch of people in, and they had parties all the time. And I think when the last draw came to, like, my sister couldn't sleep, she would have all these horrible nightmares and stuff like that. And I think, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this too. My sister could tell the story better, but I think the last straw was when there was actual physical things on her, like she had scratches on her and stuff like that.
Oh.
And a lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe that was her husband and stuff doing that, or maybe it was the cat or something. And I don't know, but at that point, then they were like, okay, yeah, we're leaving now. And
I think you've got the basis for a good Halloween show.
Right. What's funny is I've some years later when I became a teenager, because I was a small little boy during this time period, but like years later, I was like a teenager, and I remember driving by that place because I was curious. I went down that street, and that house was the windows were boarded up and it had no trespassing sign on it. The grass was super high. Yup. Anyway. For you non-believers out there, well, that was bull crap. There was gas, and the moon's light came in at a weird angle, and the cat was scratching everybody. I don't know. That's the story. People can interpret it however they want, but either way, it's interesting, right?
Oh, indeed. It's always fun.
So another thing I want to talk to you about is you and your husband y'all host these just badass killer Viking parties.
Oh,
Explain to me, what, to anyone watching this, what's a Viking party and what do you do there?
Well, it's this year will be, if we have it, Viking 12.
Wow, you've done it for 12 years?
Yes.
What?
Well, it
That's
kind of
wild.
started out, I mean, we moved to town, we raised our children, and then when you start venturing out again and being social and an adult, it's like you start going to other people's parties. Well, everybody kind of has their set dates. You know, this is when I'm doing my Halloween, and so you go to all these awesome parties during October, and then November comes around, you're like, I'm not done dressing up yet. I want to do more. And so it started off with my husband was an ATO in college, and they were the animal house on campus. They literally had their charter
That's a
revoked.
fraternity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you could go there and talk about philosophy in the front yard while you watched somebody rappel off the roof with a bed sheet. I mean, seriously, they were insane.
Sounds like a great Friday night.
I know, they were fun. So in fact, that's how I met him. I was 15, crashing the ATO parties.
Ah.
Yeah. So
I see.
we didn't date. We were just friends. But,
That's what they all say, lady.
No, it's actually a good thing. We just were friends. And in fact, I hung out with his cousin a lot, but we were just friends, unlike you and your cousin.
Whoa. Not cousin thing. Come on, lady.
Anyway.
People are like, oh, he's from Alabama. What is she talking about?
It's
a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's cool. But anyway, so so he said, well, why don't we do a Viking party? So we did. And a friend of ours was having his 10th wedding anniversary and had booked a band. And when he found out we had a party, he just moved his party to our party. So that's how the band component ended up there. And for the first 5 or 6 years, we booked bands, and every band that played said, hey, that was great. Put us on the guest list next year. And it's like, okay, great. So then we just kind of said, hey, who wants to play? And have ended up with a phenomenal list of really talented bands and belly dancers. It's a lot of fun.
I love belly dancers. They're awesome.
Oh, and they dress like mad Vikings. They are so cool. I mean, and just, it's incredible. And so you can dress like a Viking or not dress like a Viking. We really don't
For
care.
some reason, I thought it was a mandatory to dress like a Viking.
No, there's nobody at the door going, I'm so sorry, you're dressed inappropriately. Of course, we haven't had anybody show up completely butt naked yet, but you never know.
I'm doing it this year. I'm going.
You go.
Wearing my birthday suit.
We had a chick show up with a colander on her head and the eyes to an electric stove on her t-shirt, and she was a Viking appliance. I thought that was a win. I know.
Very, very clever. Very clever.
So just whatever. I'm waiting for somebody to show up with spandex and a wheel and be like, I thought it was biking. Because we've had people show up in their leathers for motorcycles. And I had people come up going, they said it was a biking party and da-da-da. It's like, it's a joke. It's all for fun. Nobody cares. And it's a house party.
But I've been before. The majority of people do dress up in some form of Viking or medieval-esque attire.
Oh, yeah. And you have
in fact, I don't know. The year that I went, I don't know if I saw anybody that was just regularly dressed. Maybe, but I don't remember everybody. I just saw horns, fur, leather, capes, swords.
Titties.
Yes, titties. Yes, titties everywhere. There was a guy that had he made a weird loincloth thing out of aluminum foil, and he had a hammer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's everything. We have people that, do everything from buy at a, local shop, the fake fur and stuff, to people who actually forge their own weaponry and make their own shields and their own chainmail, and they are phenomenal. They make me have to step up my game. I can't just throw on a corset and be done.
Yeah, I dressed up like Jon Snow, which isn't a Viking, but it's cool. It got me a lot of female attention, so that was
sure
good. People were yelling at me from across the way, "King of the North," with their beers. It was so awesome.
And our friend Spider is instrumental in helping us. She is our guardian at the gate. She is the wild woman that tells you not to park in the driveway. And then we've started having local vendors downstairs.
Oh, nice.
So you have local artists and artisans that you can buy jewelry or chainmail or anything from. Art. Brian Burke has been very helpful. Darcy Alexander has been there from day one. We've got a lot of very talented artists and artisans, like I said, who set up downstairs. And basically, we just ask people to bring their cards to help pay for the local art, cash to take care of the guardians of the alcohol, because we cannot call them bartendresses, but they will watch your alcohol and put your name on it. And then, of course, the shuttle service that goes in front of the house, because you can't park on Shades Crest. It's dangerous. But just we ask that you tip them coming and going, have a good attitude, bring good friends, BYOB, and potluck, and it's a lot of fun.
So why specifically Vikings and not like Roman party or?
Because it started off as
just
ATO Viking party.
Okay, just from that specifically then? So nobody
Yes.
specifically is like from like Norway or
Well,
just loves
yeah,
Norse mythology?
We do have Norse blood,
Okay.
both my
That-
husband and I.
Makes a lot of sense. You guys are aggressive. Big and aggressive.
We're just cute.
Yeah,
and
you are. You're
invasive.
adorable. You're adorable. You guys are. You really are. You're super adorable. But
But anyway, so yeah, and what happened is the next year after Viking 1, we started getting phone calls. So when's the next one? I've already got my costume. And we're like,
nice.
this is a thing. Oh, okay. And so from a thing, it has become Viking 12. So we'll see if it happens this year. If it doesn't
it's got to.
happen at our house,
I mean, everybody's going to be wearing masks anyways.
I know,
'Cause
right?
it's, you know.
Is a beard? Can a beard?
Right.
A beard be a mask?
Yeah, just grow the beard over your nose and lips, ladies and gentlemen. I said ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies,
Hey, you know, we can try it. It's the 90s. Live a little. That's so awesome. Matt, you got to come to the, like, if it's going down, you got to come to these parties, man. They're super awesome.
Yeah, it's between 260 and 320
It's
people.
such a good time, dude. Everybody's dressed up. There's drinks, there's eats, there's people having a good time, there's music. Like, I had the best time ever. I've been to a lot of, like, because you do it around, did you give the date of when it happens? When is it?
It's usually the second Saturday in November.
Yeah,
but we're
it's right after
not
Halloween.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so perfect because I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays since a child because I love dressing up. I love being dramatic. I love spooky, dark things, you know. And the Viking party is just a perfect like follow up to that. And I've been to so many costume parties, Halloween parties, and yours is my favorite. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. Like it's just I love the theme. I love all that stuff.
It's always interesting. You never know what I mean, it's you'll never know who you'll meet.
Yes,
They're just really
absolutely.
neat people who show up.
Yeah.
And it's not cliquish. You know, nobody's rude.
Everybody's hanging out. Everybody's talking to you, having a good time. Especially if you got a cool costume. I mean, people were talking to me all night, and mine was even original. You know, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you're not even original, Jon Snow. That's so easy. You already kind of have that look anyway, and your hair's long,
Sounds
curly."
like a jealousy thing to me.
I know. I was like, bro, get off my cape, bro. And that's what I told Matt, and he still to this day. I'm kidding. It wasn't Matt. But yeah, I'm super excited for the. Hey, Matt, can you get those? She brought us some shirts. Can you bring that so I can show it? Show everybody. Yeah, she brought us some awesome Viking Party merch here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna show this stuff off. She brought me and my tech manager some cool Viking shirts. Thank you so much, Margaret.
I pirated the art. I don't know who did it, but it was on the internet and it was just gorgeous.
This is my boy Odin on here, right?
It is Odin.
I love it. Super,
Mr. Wednesday.
super cool. So, I guess it's safe to say that Norse mythology is your favorite, even over Greek.
I like all of it.
Yeah, Greek's
like
always
all of
been my deal, but I don't know. So, would you say that also that your favorite Avenger is Thor?
He's hot.
He's super hot.
He is.
He is
He's hot.
absolutely freaking hot.
Yeah,
telling you
you
this.
know. So there you go. But yeah, no, I like all mythos because my background is art history, and so to understand the art, you have to understand the culture and the belief systems surrounding the art. So you have to understand the theology and the mythos of each thing, and it's quite fascinating. I actually got in trouble in first grade for bringing my mythology book to school because it had nudes in it. And they called my mother in and told her that I'd brought pornography to school.
Oh my gosh.
At which point she read them up one side and down the other and explained to them the difference between pornography and art. But still, I was told that I had to keep my art books at home.
Yeah. Everybody hide your statues of David. It's porn.
Right.
It's porno.
all that frontal nudity. Well, the David statue in Florence, Italy, in Firenze, in the Uffizi.
I love how you say that with the actual accent. Anyways, go.
I took Italiano also, but yeah, 2 years of Latin, 5 years of French, a year of Italian, a year of Chinese, a year of Mayan, and the only thing I can speak fluently right now is redneck. So, they had fainting sofas around the David because in the 1800s and early 1900s, you would have the Grand Tour, which is what every educated person did. They would go overseas and they would see all the museums and they would get cultured and all that fun stuff. Well, they would go and see the David. Well, all these women were corseted, and it was a very repressed time in America. And so, what do you expect? We were formed by a group of people that thought the Anglican Church was too loosey-goosey. So, being repressed is just part of the country. So they go over there and they would see for the first time, this monumental maleness. And they just, I've got the vapors. And they pass out. And they called it Stendhal syndrome. It was the shock of seeing the male genitalia would send them into just a swoon. And of course, I kind of feel sorry for the ladies because the ones who probably weren't shocked by it had to pretend like they were shocked. Otherwise, they would be considered sluts.
They should have just put them some boxer shorts on.
Right? Just another fig leaf. Yet another fig leaf.
So speaking of that, when I was in middle school, we had to do these projects on the Renaissance, and someone was doing one on we did our different artifacts, and one person was doing the statue of David. And I remember the teacher saying, okay, if you do any of these artists or their artwork, like don't do any nudes, we can't accept that. That's a no. And this kid was going to do David. He's like, I want to do the statue of David. And he was explaining all of it. And she was like, yeah, but you can't because it's nude. If you do that, you're going to get in trouble. I'm telling you, even if you write a really good report and all that stuff, you can't bring it in. And he was like, oh, fine. And so you think he would stop, he wouldn't do the report and he'd pick something else. He still stuck with David, but this is what the kid did. He put the picture in there. Somehow he managed to, I don't know if he used his computer or whatever, but he put a pair of Joe boxer shorts on the statue of David. He had his report, and the teacher was like, I'll never forget, she's like looking at this and she's like, okay. So just like, what can you say?
That's brilliant.
He put boxers on David and he got an A. He got a 100 because his report was awesome. His pictures were excellent. And it was just that one photo of the statue of David. It had a pair of Joe boxers on. It was
perfect.
Hilarious. Never forget that for the rest of my life. I remember thinking that was so funny. I was like, 13 or whatever at the time. And I was like, that is hilarious. But nice.
Well played.
Very, very, very well played. So you speak all these languages. What are you the most fluent in now?
Redneck.
Go ahead. Yeah, speak some of that for me real quick. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
You want Montgomery redneck? And they talk like they got mothballs in their mouth. I can be a politician with a voice like that.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. So yeah, I can. It's like when I went to Chicago when I was 21, they gave me free drinks everywhere I went. And they said, just talk. I'm sorry. It wasn't like that. They was, yo, she from Alabama. She get free drinks. They acted like I've never seen alcohol in my life. Free drinks at the bar. You just talk. Hey, talk.
Just talk.
And so I'd be like, well, what do you want? Do you want the Auburn accent? That's a totally different accent than any other if you're from Auburn. And then of course you've got, your typical redneck. All right, Dan.
All right, Dan.
All right, Dan.
That's like Sling Blade.
Oh, I mean, seriously. But I mean, it's kind of like when you're traveling down the road and I was at a gas station and this gentleman went up to the counter and asked the guy behind the counter, it's like, where is Arab, Alabama? And the guy said, we ain't got no Arabs in Alabama. And, yeah, no, it's been a minute, but, and the guy said, no, it's on the map. My friend told me that's where he is, and I need to get to Arab. And this went back and forth for a while till it was painful. And I just went up and kind of tapped him and went, Arab.
Can we get a translator?
And he just looked at the guy and went, Arab. And he's like, oh, hell, boy, why didn't you say so? It's past the bloated goat, turn left at the possum. I mean, it was almost like that,
Yeah.
Those vernacular directions that we give in the South.
Oh man, it just tickles my heart. I've been to Arab before, and there's a different kind of human that lives out there. No, I mean, they're real sweet people. They're nice. I'm just saying.
Salt of the earth.
There are different types of humans out there. And so I'm going to tell this story. I've already told this a couple times in some of my previous shows, but so I went to Illinois some years ago, and it was during one of the crosstown showdowns between the White Sox and the Cubbies, which for anybody that doesn't know, they are just as aggressive and crazy as the Alabama-Auburn rivalry stuff down here. So, oh, thank you. This Kool-Aid you made.
Yes, Kool-Aid. Good Kool-Aid.
Blueberry. I like that. That's a really cool flask, though, by the way.
Thank you.
So anyways, I went to stay with a buddy of mine in Chicago, and I got to meet his wife for the first time, and they had this really cool dog, Baxter, who's like half pit bull, half Alaskan husky. Most beautiful dog I've ever seen. Anyway, his wife had met me for the first time. I introduced myself and all that, and she when she heard my last name was Roulaine, she started speaking. She was like, "Oh, parlez français?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I should, especially considering that's part of my heritage, but just silly boy from Alabama." And then she goes, "Oh no, that's fine." And then as we were talking, she goes, "I really love your cute little redneck accent." She said it just like that with bells on. And I was like, I literally looked like if you could have seen me at the time, it looked like I ate a whole lemon. I was like, and she was like, no, don't take offense. I just said it's cute. It's lovely. It's cute. I love accents. And I was like, I don't think you redneck accent. I was like, man. I was like, first of all, I get accused of being a Yankee. You're a Yankee down in Alabama for speaking the way I do.
I'm sorry, you're articulating each one of your words. Syllables, so you must not be from here.
I was like, if any, I might have a little twang here and there. Sure. I mean, I was born and bred here after all, but I was like redneck. And she was like, oh. And then her husband, my friend, he chimes in. He goes, "Oh, don't listen to her," because he's lived here in Alabama before, and he's been to Florida, and he's back to Illinois and stuff. So he knows like how people sound legitimately. I don't think she's ever been further than, I don't know, Ohio or something like that. But he goes, "She's never been further than Ohio." And he's like, "She's from Maryland. She's never even heard of Southerner. She doesn't even know like what that is." And she's like, "What? I don't get it." And I was like, "Lady, I'll just put it this way. If you think you like my redneck accent," I was like, "You ain't seen nothing yet." And I'll never forget that. It was so funny that she said that. She didn't even say Southern. She went to redneck. She went to the far end of
they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not from
people
here,
from
they don't
Maryland.
know. And it's okay.
Bunch of dorks from Maryland.
We try to scare people out of our state. We like it the way it is. We've got the best restaurant in the country, and we have sophisticated and interesting people. I mean, some of the best parties I went to, one of them was like a party on a farm, and they had a screen on the barn, and they played Killing Zoe and Dr. Strangelove, which, if you can imagine, is rather eclectic.
Sure, yeah.
Out of one trunk came, car trunk, came, you never know around here, came, prosciutto wrapped asparagus and a lemon butter reduction. And then out of the other car trunk came semi-automatic weaponry.
Oh my God, I love it.
With which we dispatched a very unruly dishwasher. Yes. It needed killing.
Oh my, it needed killing.
And then we had a slideshow where we had different incredibly talented photographers from all over the world. One was a National Geographic photographer, and he was showing war images of Bosnia and beautiful images of landscapes. And I mean, that's the kind of eclectic beauty that makes up Alabama and pretty much the South in general. I mean, you never know what kind of intellect you're going to run into, and it really doesn't matter what the accent is. Some of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life talk like this. They talk real slow, but they can give you the most incredible insight, and they have amazing perception. So, those quiet, rednecky type people, watch out for them. They're smart.
Yeah, they really are. We have like a weird stigma that we're a bunch of like people that marry our cousins and drink Pennzoil or something. I don't know. but it's definitely not. There, like you said, there are actual Southerners that are very, very deep people. You know, I've had really deep conversations with people that have like very thick Southern accents, and that's just it. They just have the accent. There's nothing like the person inside is very complex and complicated and wonderful.
Well, it's only because of television that we affiliate the accent with anything other than a mediocre intellect. And that's just, you know, TV.
Well, you know, and people down here were telling me when I've traveled up north too, to like Michigan and Chicago and different places like that, Ohio,
Did
Wisconsin.
they ask you if you had to buy your shoes to come up there?
No.
Yeah, I've had that.
But they were warning me like, oh, you got to be careful. You go up north, like their people are so rude and they're jerks. And maybe I just haven't encountered them, but I've been to Michigan and all these other places I just named, and everybody's especially when I'm in Chicago, everybody's really friendly. People are trying to get you to come to their parties and they give you drinks, and they play bags is what they call it up there, but it's cornhole, and everybody's playing that in the streets, and they're like, hey, come play bags, man, have a drink. And I mean, everybody's really cool from what I could tell. And when I went to Michigan, everybody's very, very polite and sweet. So
they were always lovely to me wherever I went. The only thing that they didn't quite get was Southerners, when we walk down the street, we like to acknowledge each other, and we look people in the eye and we say, hi, how are you doing? Or, hey, how's it going? Or something. And you say that to somebody up north when they're walking down the street, and they look at you like, what do you want? And you're like, I was just seeing how you're doing. But that's cool. I'm just gonna look at the wall for a minute.
I'm sorry for being polite. What was I thinking? So insensitive.
Like,
of me.
My mama taught me how to do this. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just one of those things.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. So we talked about some really awesome stuff. Your art, your Viking parties, your love for sexy Thor. Your real estate stuff. With real estate stuff too. Like I seriously, at some point, like I have another person too who's actually on the podcast. He's wanting to try to get into real estate.
I'd be happy to help
too. And he does like those lien properties or whatever or something like that. I don't know.
Tax lien.
Right. He does that. I don't know anything about it. So he's getting into it. He's trying to look further. So I have to hook you up with him. And he's a good old boy too.
Oh.
If you watch episode 2, it's Roger Brown. Shout out to him again. He's a really good Southern gentleman, and he's trying to become he's trying to be a up and coming entrepreneur and set a legacy for his life, for his daughter, and all this other stuff. He's a great guy. But anyways, now we're getting to the point of the show that gets a little bit more in depth with the human. What are you, Margot? What are you wrestling with in life right now? What's your biggest fears and demons that you're fighting with personally? I can ask that.
Yeah. And well, honestly, I mean, I think with everybody, there's a complexity in that one question. I mean, you've got so many things that, everybody wrestles with, including me, like weight and health and, trying to be a better human being. That's a real struggle because you try to be present.
I feel like more people should wrestle with that, but I don't.
Yeah. But I mean, it is, but it's something that you have to put your mind to and focus on to help become a positive aspect to the human race instead of just someone who complains about it and does nothing. But I mean, and kindness is little things. It's listening to your inner voice when you walk past somebody and you think, hey, well, I mean, it is COVID, but hey, they need a hug. Or they need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to acknowledge them and make sure that they understand they're not the only one in the world. Because when you look at people, particularly as you get older, people's sphere of influence either expands or it narrows to an almost infinitesimal line. And so you look at the people who have a narrow sphere and you make sure you make time for them, because they don't have people, there for them. And it's kind of like just the smallest kindness, and right now with you guys, you can check on people, via Facebook or Instagram and make sure they're okay. But it's just letting people know that they're loved. And that's part of why I enjoy the music so much, is because it's like when I'm performing, even though I'm terribly shy, but I got a kick-ass band.
Such a paradox, rock. Right?
So, yeah. But it's like when I'm on stage, I'm representing the band, and I kind of can put myself back in the back and not think about, how nervous I am. But it's the other thing is like giving that joy and that sense of happiness to the audience and letting them know that they're loved and they're cared for, and that we're really enjoying what we're doing, and we're trying to get that energy from the band and push it forward out to them as sort of a big audio hug, and
audio hug. I like that. It sounds like it could be in the name of a band.
I mean, we need a lot of audio hugs.
Yeah, we really do.
So there's that, and struggling with the loss of my mom. I mean, everybody who loses a parent or a close friend or has lost, family members during the COVID or before, it's difficult when you lose somebody, and you have to really be open to hearing the echoes of them in your life when you no longer have them there to kind of go, no, you need to be doing this, it's like. And so one of the things that she told me to do that I'm really struggling with is one of the last things my mom said was, my daughter, paint her. So you have to understand, she was a force of nature. So I've got to get working on some of this stuff. I did excavate my studio during COVID, but I still haven't lifted a brush. And there's so many things that I want to do. I want to do a group of paintings that I want to call the Southern Pantheon, and just let people kind of come up with whatever deity they want to be. I've already got somebody who wants to be Thor, of course.
Are they hot?
It's Jay Burford.
Okay.
He makes an excellent Thor.
Sure.
So, I mean, but it's just whatever somebody wants to be, but to kind of create a new pantheon. And I want to work with other artists who maybe could make headdresses and things of that nature, and make it a group event, a collaborative effort. But it's still trying to find the time to first do the preparatory photography, and then start with the painting, and then, all that other fun stuff. And in the myriad of things that I'm trying to do, because I've got, projects with Margot and the Cat's Meow. I've got projects with Joe Carnaggio. I've got projects with my friend David Martin that we're trying to get together. And so which that's going to be fun, because that's going to be kind of 80s punk-esque.
Nice. Can't wait to hear it.
A little bit more interesting, edgy. Not more interesting, just edgy.
I love edgy.
And then with Joe Carnaggio, he's an exemplary, phenomenal jazz guitarist, but he also wants to do some funky rock and stuff. And so we'll see what that does. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to struggle with. Also, I didn't know if you knew, I'm adopted. And so I'm currently trying to find my natural parents, just to tell them, hey, you did a good job. I'm fine. I'm happy.
How's that coming along? Are you making any headway?
Not a peep yet, but we'll see. It just takes time, because in the 60s, adoptions were closed case. And so they made it so that you could blend in with your family, and they would never know. The idea was that you'd never tell your children that they were adopted. But my parents were very forthright, and they struggled to get us because they were involved in the civil rights movement. And so during their adoption interviews, they were asked things like, are you going to use this child for integration? And different things of that nature, which, nowadays would seem completely outrageous. You would think we were a little farther along in race relations than we are, but we're really not. Civil rights has a long way to go. Just from what my parents told me and their experience, because they helped start the Freedom Quilting Bee. They were involved in the Selma Project. They marched on Washington with Martin Luther King. They were really, really involved. And, they taught my brother and I to be involved as well. But, that aside, it's just kind of like, they told us as much as they could about our natural parents, and my natural parents were artistic, and they requested that I be adopted by an artistic family. However, I was adopted by 6 generations of artists, painters.
And writers.
No singers. Well, except for some of my cousins, they're singers, and they're awesome. And Jamie and Susie, you guys rock. Anyway, so... But other than that, my mother couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, And so years later, we discover that I can sing, largely because of Beverly Owens and Sassy Brown, who pushed me very hard to get out there and start singing. And then I hooked up with a vocal coach named Dwayne Tibbs, who is phenomenal. Because I, figured, hey, I learned this in the shower. There's no way I'm doing this right. And I wasn't. And so through him, we discovered that I'm working with a little bit more than 4 octaves, which I would have never known. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as I become more comfortable, because a lot of my problems are, insecurities. When you're singing, you're like, well, I overthink, and he'll like yell at me. He's very passionate. He'll be like, stop that. And just like, think of the note, hit the note. Don't think you might hit the note. He goes, go hit it, and I'm just like, trying to figure it all out. And so it's interesting learning a lot about myself, because all of this is genetics. It's from my natural parents. That's where the singing comes from. And it was one of the things that my mother really struggled with. She said, oh, well, we should have gotten you lessons. We should have done this. We should have pushed you to do this when you were in, high school or college. And I'm like, no, this is perfect. Right now is perfect. It's like, I don't have the delusions of youth. I don't want fame. I don't want fortune. I just want to have fun. I want to learn. I want to experience stuff. I want to, figure this thing out. It's really interesting. It's aerodynamics, and it's musculature, and it's all these intricate little things that have to come into place, and the placement of where you hold your voice, and the pronouncing of the vowels, which keep the sound pure and clean, and all these things that I had no clue about. And I'm just like, oh, teach me more, and of course, Dwayne is awesome. Go get him. He believes anybody can sing, and he helps people who have lost aspects of their voice due to stroke or trauma. So if you've lost part of your vocals and you need some help, he can definitely help you out. And he's an amazing, passionate, profound, intelligent creature who, I would have no clue. I'd have no idea what my voice is or is not capable of without his insight and guidance. And then definitely wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for Beverly Owens, who has a voice like a bell, and Sassy Brown, who is the diva. She is dynamic. Miss Blues. You ought to get her on.
The first time I'd love to have her. The first time I ever met her, like a couple of years ago, she just kissed me. I just missed her for the first time. She's like, oh, this is Sassy. And she just kissed me. And I was like, all right, nice to meet you.
I know. How can you say no to a greeting like that?
Wow. Yeah, she's sweet. She's awesome. She's really good. Yeah. She plays all over locally, and she's a cool lady. Definitely. Would you say that is singing, out of all the things you do, is singing probably, would you say that's your number one? Your number one? If you had to strip away all the just stuff that you do, which is a ton.
Well, I got to keep a roof over my head.
Well, I'm saying, but I'm speaking hypothetically here. So, like, if you had to strip all of it away, though, what would you keep? If you can only keep one thing out of all these things you do.
Dude, don't do that to me. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it?
I couldn't do it.
Okay.
I just couldn't. Yeah.
You love all of them.
I love all of them. They all challenge me. They all teach me something new.
Would you say it's an outlet? They're all outlets for you, for your own insecurities and your own issues and struggles? Do you use them for that?
I don't know that I'm that intelligent.
Of course you are. How many big words? Did you write down all the big words she said through this whole broadcast, Matt? I can't even pronounce half the stuff she said.
But it's just, singing is the thing that I knew least about myself. It's like I've always written, my entire life I've gotten scholarships on writing and things of that nature. My mom, her undergrad was in English, so she was, always tried to make sure that I knew how to write. And and I've been drawing since I was knee high to a grasshopper, so, bless my grandmother's heart, she would give me a new art pad every time with the idea that every time I finished it, I had to bring her the whole art pad and she'd give me a new one. And so when we went to clean out her house, she had art pads that were literally, 3.5 feet wide and 12 feet long down in her attic that were all my art. my mom's like, "Oh, don't you want these?" I'm like, "No." Why would I want these?
I'm so glad that she supported like you doing that though, like giving you like the pads and all that. There's a quote from this book that I read that said it was about this girl talking about how she came from a poor family, and her dad, she loved to draw superheroes. She was really into like comic book superheroes and stuff like that. And she drew a lot. And her dad, he barely made enough money to support them and stuff, but he would still find a way to get her like a notepad and color pencils and all that stuff. And the quote she says is, if you supply children with artistic, creative ammunition, they will blast holes through an oppressive environment and construct and breathe life into infinite worlds of potential and reality.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I paint with my grandchildren and with my niece and nephew.
That's awesome.
And it's a lot of fun to explore art and creativity with other generations and with other people. And it's like I keep on threatening to have like a group of artists on my deck and call it Swill and Swipe as opposed to Sip and Strokes, just kind of be like, hey. So
we're going to work on some abstract pieces today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a bunny.
That was the time I came back home from the ocean.
I know, right? So, and just get a bunch of my friends who have artist block and haven't been doing anything, and just, bring either the vexing painting or a white canvas, because a white canvas is a problem. And the paintbrush is the solution.
I like that. That's an excellent analogy.
And so it's just kind of like, there was always this sense of family in the art department that I came from. I was incredibly fortunate. And, everybody would be like, "Oh, where'd you get that color?" It's like, "Oh, here, it's like this, it's this and this and this." And it's like, mix this together, and they give you a sample of it. And everybody worked together. And, if you were inspired by somebody's work and you tried out their style, they were like, "Oh, that's cool," instead of, "Oh, you're copying." Because really there's no new thing under the sun. If you really look at art history, there's nothing new. And it's just kind of like, it's just how you see the world and how you frame it that gives it the freshness and gives it that neat quality, and what you're saying with your art or not saying with your art. It's kind of like a song. When somebody sings a song, it's not necessarily what they're putting into it. You hope that they're putting emotion into it, but it's how it affects the person that's hearing it, much like how art affects the person who's seeing it. Everybody brings their own experience to the table. It's how that experience mixes with what you're providing for them to see.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. That was really great. Very beautiful. Margaret, I want you to do a plug-in for all of your businesses. How can people reach you? How can they hear your music? How can they buy your real estate? How can they see your paintings? How can they come to your Viking party? Plug in.
Okay. This one or that one? That one.
I guess he's saying this one.
Hi, guys. My name is Margaret Walter Wilson. I'm also known as Margot. My company is called Trading Earth Real Estate. You can reach us either via our Facebook page or just call us. You can call me directly at 205-790-4613. We are a full-service agency, and we can represent you in a purchase of a property or a sale of a property, or if you just want to start making bank for your future and investing in real estate, we've got you there. Also, I have Margot and the Cats Meow. It is our jazz, funk, and groove band. We play everything from Minnie the Moocher to Frank Zappa. So it's really cool. And we have a blast. It's a lot of fun. The musicians are phenomenal. Of course, we have Lynette Brasher, our bombshell. We have John Knuckles, the best drummer in the Northern Hemisphere, and I'm sticking to that. Our Catman dude, the most excellent bassist, Mark Neves. And our spectacular guitarist is Benton Robbins. We also have occasional horn players that are with us, Ian Bevel and also Michael Sadekny. We love horns, and so we always have at least one guy with us, and they really make it spectacular. I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for horns. If I had my way, we'd have like 26 horns.
I was going to make an inappropriate joke, but I'm not. Keep going. Please keep going.
Let's see. What
And
else?
Viking parties.
Oh, yes. Viking party is always fun. We'll see if we're doing it this year. Just check into what on Facebook. Well, we have Margot and the Cats Meow on Facebook, and we also have me, Margaret Walter Wilson, on Facebook. So you can ping me there as far as Viking, because we'll start making announcements as soon as we have an idea. And if you are in the mood to find my parents, I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, in February 1969. So they named me Canticle, which is the Roman Catholic word for prayer, a song of prayer. So they were obviously hippies.
No, not them.
And tell them I'd love to meet them and tell them they did a good job. But anyway, so is that all I need to do, or did you want me to sing something?
That was, yeah, actually, I was going to see if you'd do a little a cappella for us before I sign us out of here, the Wrestling Diaries.
Okay.
If you'd like to.
I'll give it a try. We'll see how this works.
And I was kidding. I can't do harmonies with you, so you're on your own, kid. You're on your own, kid.
Oh, no. Okay, this is a little one that I've been working on. I dig Esmeralda Spalding. She's fantastic. And she does this little ditty that actually took place during the Depression, which is kind of apropos right now because there's so many people who are without work or without, a firm understanding of what their future may bring. And so this song was written during that time in our history. And so I think it's kind of apropos now. But anyway, it's called Sunny Side of the Street. So we'll see if I can do this. Y'all bear with me. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear the pitter-pat and that happy tune in your step? Life could be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with my blues on parade, but I am not afraid. This rover has crossed over. If I never had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street.
Oh my God, Matt, get me a brandy and a cigar.
Aw.
That shit was awesome.
Thank you. I was really nervous.
That was great. Hey, I think so you said you were nervous doing this. I think you killed it. Killed it. Did she seem nervous to you, Matt? No?
I am all butterflies. I'm all butterflies.
That is so, Margot, you are such an awesome creature. Thank you so much for being here, my dear.
Thank you, darling.
I want to have you back again, right? Maybe even right before the Viking party, we can dress up like Vikings and come on here and you can help promote the party and all that stuff.
That'd be fun.
Or, even before that, I'll have you on 100 times. I don't care.
Oh,
you got a lot of story to tell, but that was so awesome.
I didn't even get into all this stuff from the shoals.
Yeah, see,
I've got stories. You really need to get my husband on. He's got some stories.
Oh yeah. I'd love. Yeah, let's get him on too. Yeah, we'll do that.
There's one about a guy who jumped off the O'Neill Bridge for a Whopper.
like a Burger King Whopper.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
I love
story.
this guy. Whoppers.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Margot. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I did. I had such a good time. Did you have a good time?
I had a wonderful time. Thank you.
Sweet.
Mitchell is the bomb.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching the Wrestling Diaries. Tune in, subscribe, check out our next episode. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the future. Tell your friends about us. Spread our message around. Tell me, what do you wrestle with and how can you beat it? One love.
I'm the king of the swingers of jungle VIP. I've hit the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me. Wanna be a man, come and stroll right into town and be just like the other men. I'm tired of monkeying around. Oh,